ex-con, ex-gang leader to one of the pioneers in industry. That is Andre Norman. Unbelievable story. I'm so glad you are here to watch and listen to this. This story just blows me away. I've met this guy. I've gotten to know him. He is an unbelievable story. Episode 1 got a lot of views, a lot of listens. So it's going to be unbelievable when you listen to episode 2. It's even better than episode 1. So thanks for hanging out with us. My name's Kenner French. What's Kenner French thinking? You're going to like this. You're going to like the story of Andre Norman and really how we couched it in such a way that makes it even more interesting in telling his story about his time when he was in jail and just before he knew that he needed to turn around his life. And he's going to give us some stories. And then in the next episode, by the way, episode 3, you're going to even learn more about some of the craziness that now he's going through. And man, is it an unbelievable story. Once again, Kenner French, what's Kenner French thinking? Thanks for being here. I'm sure you became a powerful man as you're getting ready, in effect, to go to jail, but meaning in high school. But were you kind of a gang leader at that point, just as you're, 18 or no?
No.
Got it.
I was at a school where kids didn't know me. So I just kind of like the guy in the middle. I flunked freshman, sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of class one day in junior year, and I ended up in the auditorium where they was having an assembly. And there was a guy talking about foreign exchange students. I'm sitting in the back of the room like, man, I probably raised my hand. I'm like, why are you talking crazy? We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going no place. Why you down there lying to these people? Why you here telling us lies? And the guy said, calling security and kicking me out. He challenged me. He came down front and he gave me the application. He said, you fill this out. Never say no for them. I'm like, whatever. Long story short, I filled out the application. I turned it in. The interview date came. I went to the interview. There were 64 companies, and they were interviewing Ronald Reagan, President Ronald Reagan, my guy, Reaganomics. He set out a program for poor Black kids to go on this exchange student program. He said, hey, if I get them exposure, it can change their life. He said, but if I use grades, I won't get the kids I want. I want to get the white and Asian kids. Mm-hmm. So he said, no grades, you got to interview each and every person. So I ended up at the interview. I interviewed 64 companies, and the way it worked, each company would make a list of 15. If I could get 1 to 15, these are the people I would take. And based on that, they gave the awards. Whoever had the most engagement. I was number 1 on every single list.
I bet you were.
And I got the scholarship. When I got the scholarship, the principal called me into the office. They sent him the award. He had to tell me. He said, this got to be a mistake. This guy's flunked 3 years in a row, has been arrested twice. He never goes to class. He's a problem. How did he get the scholarship? He called me to the office, and he called the guy down who made me sign up the paper. He was a volunteer. We went in his office, we sat down, and the principal started yelling at both of us. He's an evil kid. He's a rotten kid. He's the worst kid we had. He's just going. When he finished, the guy raised his hand and said, can I say something? He said, yeah. He said 3 things. 1, it's not your money. 2, it's not your decision. And 3, he's gone. Have a nice day. And it was the first time somebody stood up for him.
Love it.
And I want to be nice. I want to be fair to the principal. He didn't just be mean to me just because. I was one of the worst kids he had. And he's like, he's not representing this school. He said, it's not your choice and it's not your money. And he set up for me to go. And I went to Europe for the summer of my junior year. Went to London, Paris, Belgium, and Amsterdam. And it was like the greatest adventure of my life. When I came back, I hadn't changed my life. I was still on that gangster, getting in trouble stuff. I ended up going to prison. But that 7 weeks in Europe gave me a whole nother mindset that the world wasn't 4 square blocks. I'm seeing stuff on TV. I'm like, oh, Dover Walls, I've been there. You're lying. Oh, Eiffel Tower, I've been there. Oh, Sweden, I've been. They're like, what are you talking about, Joe? We from the hood. I'm like, we can go there. And I've always had that mindset of we can go. And since I've been home, I've been to over 30 countries. My son, who's 20 years old, sophomore in college, has been over 25 countries. I mean, traveling is what we do. And it started with Ronald Reagan creating a program for poor Black kids who wouldn't have made it otherwise in the way he set it up. And I would say the one differentiator between me and all my friends was that 7 weeks abroad. I met people. I met a lot of different people, met a lot of different cultures. And for the first time in my life, it was the summer of 1984. Back home, I was a lot of names. Depends on who you was talking to. But that summer '84, they kept calling me the American kid, the American kid, the American kid. Between the Olympics and everything else, I'm being for Nick. And for the first time, I said, "Wait a minute, they're talking about me." And I felt like an American. I represented the United States of America. When I walked down the streets, people saw America through me, not through a magazine or a headline, through Andre in real time. And that was the first time I felt like an American. And I look back at all my upbringing and kids throwing rocks at us and us living in the hood and struggling. I never felt like an American. I felt like an outcast from day one. But the summer '84 gave me my civic pride. To have a whole nation of people identify me as the American kid, which I've never been called back home. So now I'm able to understand the impact of environment. I'm understanding the impact of words. And I work with, I went to the Pentagon last year. I got the honor going to the Pentagon and sitting with people to talk about how do we solve problems for our veterans killing themselves. People say, Dre, why do you care about veterans? Because I got civic pride when I was 17. And I respect what they do and what they've done and what they're going through. But that experience, who would have thought me being in London in '84 would trigger me helping saving soldiers in 2025? But
What
the things you put in come out.
What a huge departure, though, because from that trip to getting prepared to go to jail for a long, long time, I can't imagine, like, what happened during that period? I know this is a naive question, but what truly happened between that trip and whatever you did to end up having to be forced into almost a lifelong, sentence?
I mean, the trip was a reprieve. My life was going straight down the train. It was going straight down the drain from day one. It was just on the way down, somebody threw me a flower. It wasn't like I stopped. It was on the way down, somebody threw me a flower. I actually, before I went on the trip, I got arrested for doing a bunch of robberies to get money to buy a suitcase and to buy stuff because my parents couldn't buy that stuff. So I went to court and the judge gave me a continuance for the summer so I can go on the trip. She could have, Judge Jackson, I never forget her. She could have said, this guy got 8 robberies. He ain't going nowhere. She looked at me and she said, I'm going to continue this case until September so he can go on his trip. And I went on the trip and it didn't change my direction, but it changed my mindset of what was possible.
So, okay, again, we're looking forward to you going into jail for your sentence. Is it something, I'm sure it was scary, just like you said, but was it something you kind of needed, basically? You needed that jail time? Or was it really you needed that trip, that 7 weeks? Which did you need more, if that makes sense?
What I needed was a caring adult who could look me in my face and show me how to be a grown man. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
And in the absence of that, you get what you get. So what I needed was a firm hand, a guiding light, a big brother, somebody that can look me in the face and say, Dre, we see your talent, which a lot of people did. I've been talented since I was in the 2nd grade.
Yeah.
In 1984, they said I had the most potential of any kid in Boston public school.
I totally believe that from what the time we spent together. I totally believe that.
People kept giving me stuff to support my talent. Nobody gave me anything to overcome my pain. I'm living in pain. My mom, my dad, my sister, I got a lot of pain and trauma in my life. Nobody's helping me with my trauma. They're only helping me with my talent. So my talent kept showing out, but my trauma kept showing up.
Wow.
And finally the trauma won.
Wow, this is a very powerful episode. Wow. Let's do a little reset. My name's Ken French, hanging out with What's Ken French Thinking, hanging out with Dre Norman. We'll be back in just a moment, everybody. Okay, you ready for the next one? The next one,
Yep.
you're just about to get out of jail the next day. Okay, so we can kind of pivot on both when you're in jail and then the next component. Well, now the rest of your life. Make sense?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're hanging out with Dre Norman, man. He is just about to get out of jail. He's been in jail. He's 32 years old. He's been in jail, incarcerated for a long time. And I can tell you, he's a dynamic personality. I can only imagine what he has gone through in these last number of years when he's been in jail, and then also the future, what the future holds, not only for him, but so many people that he will impact. Dre, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
All right, so tell me what these last few years have been like in jail. I can only imagine. I know you don't want to go back there, but I'm going to ask, what's it been like?
Well, my first 6 was a psychopath. I was full-fledged, joined the gang, full-fledged banging, multiple attempted murder charges, 2.5 years in solitary confinement, shipped to 8 different states for being violent and incorrigible, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, Florida. I mean, I was all over the country in vans, just wilding. And I ended up in solitary confinement. My mother came to see me. She said, "Boy, how'd you get in jail in jail?" I said, "Mama, working hard. This stuff ain't easy." But I finally had my epiphany of I was the king of nowhere. We all think that the thing that we're doing is the greatest thing ever in our own little bubble. So I was in my bubble thinking that I was winning. And I finally realized I'm the king of nowhere. I've achieved king status, but of nowhere. I'm ruling a country that nobody cares about. I got all these subjects that nobody cares about. So I said, I don't want to be the king of nowhere. So I decided that day that I wanted to go home and be successful. And to me, success meant college. So I picked a school called Harvard University. So I'm going home, going to Harvard, called a day. Everybody thought I was crazy. They said, man, Dre went crazy. What, man? He's over in the school building talking about he's going to Harvard. Dre crazy. He over in programs talking about anger management thinking he's going to Harvard. Dre ain't out here hustling no more. Everybody thought I went crazy. And for the last 8 years of my sentence, every day, all day, I went to programs. I went to Jewish services. I went to Christian services. I went to Catholic services, mental health, anger management, cognitive thinking. I went to everything they had and then some, trying to find the best tools for me. Because there's no angry black man class in prison, which doesn't make sense since how many angry black men we have. But I just had to take what they had and made it work. And in the last 6 years, every day I went to programs, trying to better myself. I started a program, working with a program that brought kids up from juvenile detention. And we would talk to them about how they can change their life, what the life really look like. Because they're in juvie locked up, we're in the state locked up. So I'm like, you're going to be here in 3 years if you don't change. And we're showing them where they were headed. And that's how I spent the last 8 years of my sentence was everyday programs. Crazy guy.
So I mean, obviously you had a foundational you must have had a foundational upbringing before that, but it sounds like that was pivotal to you. That last 6-8 years really was pivotal to making you the man that you are now, basically.
Oh, definitely. So I had a rabbi, Natan Schaefer, who befriended me. And he taught me responsibility. He taught me respect. He taught me accountability. He taught me servanthood. He taught me how to be human. Everybody who saw me before saw my gifting and helped me become a worse person. More negative, more violent, more crazy. Natan saw my gift and said, you can be a great person. And he showed the word called teshuva, to turn around. And he taught me how to turn around. And he stood in front of me and he told me straight face to face, man to man, you're going to be great. And he walked me to greatness. And when I came home, I've been home 26 years and Natan is still my friend to this day, my number one mentor. You ever want to see big, tough Andre act like a 5-year-old, see me next to Natan. Because that is the only time I feel ultimately safe. If I'm in Natan's presence, I know I'm safe.
Yeah, I understand. So going back again, we're looking at just about, the day before you're going to be released from jail for a long sentence. So do you regret some of the things that you did in jail, even though that helped you to become the man that you are now?
Regret is relative. I wish I hadn't done some things. So regret, yes. I fought prisoners. I fought gang members. I fought other people in the life. And looking back, I could have been the bigger man. I had more status and power. I could have gave passes versus I could have let a guy go versus saying, no, you're going to pay the punishment. So looking back, I could have been a nicer guy.
I told you episode number 2 of the conversation with Andre Norman would just blow you away, and it probably surely did. My name's Kenneth French. What's Kenneth French Thinking? Thank you for watching and listening to this episode. Episode 2 is unbelievable. I love hanging out with him. Andre is the story is unbelievable. Gang leader, ex-con, now all of a sudden being a big consultant to some of the big stars of today. It's an incredible story, and thank you for hanging out with us. You should definitely hang out with week number 3. Episode number 3 is even better. You'll see. Once again, Kenneth French. What's Kenneth French Thinking? Thanks, everybody.